Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and welcome to the second installment of the glorious and free quilt behind me. Now, this quilt has been designed to celebrate Canada's 150th birthday, but feel free to join along and make it in any color combination that you would like. Now, in the first installment, we made the maple leaves, small and large. And this time, we are going to make some tiny little 9 patches, but we're going to join them together with some nice big white blocks and some red blocks. And when they're put together, it is a really nice joining block. And I'm going to continue this quilt using the red and white. And the fabric lineup is from Northcott. It is their Color Works, and it's the very true crisp white and tomato red. So let's cut the big blocks first. From the red, you're going to need to cut 2 long strips at 3.5 inches. Then take those strips and cut them in 3.5 inch squares. From those 2 strips, you will get 24 blocks at 3.5 inches. From the white, you're going to cut 3.5 inch strips all the way down the width of the fabric. You're going to need 4 strips. And when you cut those into 3.5 inch squares, you will have 48 squares. And that's what you're going to need for the solid blocks. And for the 9 patch, we're going to strip piece them. From the red, you need to cut 8 long strips at 1.5 inches. And for the white, you're going to need 7 strips at 1.5 inches. That's all you're going to need for the blocks. With the red and white, you're going to make strip sets of 3. One strip set is going to have the white in the center. The other strip set, you're going to have a red in the center. When you go to sew long strip sets together, if you sew 2 together in one direction, so you're going to start up at the top here, you're going to sew that 1/4 inch all the way down. When you get to the very end, you're going to sew the next strip starting on this end. And by doing that, it's going to help the strip sets not curve. So just keep in mind that you're going to sew 1 on one end and 1 on the other. Take 5 white and 5 red and sew them together using a scant 1/4 inch. And when that strip set has been sewn together, it's important to press that seam flat before you press it open. And it's also important that this strip remains straight as you are pressing it. If the strip is twisted like this, it is actually going to retain that memory. So find a straight mark on your ironing board and press that seam down flat. Now there's a difference between pressing and ironing. Pressing is when you take the iron and you push it up and down in this motion. Ironing is when you do this motion where the iron stays on the fabric. When you iron, what happens is that steam and that heat can actually move that fabric as you are ironing. So to press, you're going to put the iron down and then lift it up and put it back down. And by doing that, you're not going to distort all of those fibers. If you find when you lay that strip down, if it doesn't want to remain straight, you can straighten it up. So you might have to just give it a little tug so that it's following a straight line. And you can just pull slightly and then press it, then let it cool down. And by doing that, you're putting it back into the proper shape. What that first pressing does is it takes that seam of stitching that you've put and it sort of integrates it into the fabric. If you're just to take it and open it and press it, the thread is actually sitting on top of the fabric. It hasn't been pushed into the fabric. So by pressing it first, it gives it a nicer finish. Now you're going to be able to take that and press that seam towards the red. So I take that just with my hand and I press it down. Then I will make sure that that's straight and I will press it again. If you're taking the iron and you're running it back and forth, you're just going to stretch it as you go along. Or if you're ironing just right down the center, you're stretching it again. So just fold that seam down with your hands and press it. When you have the 5 strip sets done, now you're going to be able to sew the additional color on. So for strip set A, you're going to take the red and you're going to sew it right on top of that white. For strip set B, you're going to take the white and sew it onto the red. You will have 3 strip set A's and 2 strip set B's. When you have that second strip sewn on, you need to press it the same way as the first time. You now have the strip sets done, and the seams on both of them are going towards the red. And by doing that, you're going to be able to save some time for cutting them. You will now need to cut this entire strip into 1.5 inch segments, but we're going to cut them together. So it doesn't matter what set is at the bottom or what is at the top, but you just need the opposite sets. And you're going to be able to take them and place them right sides together. You're going to be able to nestle those seams, which means the seam that is going in this direction on one side will be going in the opposite direction on the other side. So those seams will actually lock together and you're going to be able to feel them. As you match up all those seams, use a line on your cutting mat and make sure that that strip is nice and straight. First thing you're going to do is cut off this end. And when this is off, now I'm going to be able to cut each segment at 1.5 inches. And if you take the ruler and you press on one side and the other, it is going to make that ruler sort of bend a little bit, but it's going to hold it down so that the fabric does not shift. You're going to be able to do this method for 2 of the strip sets because you need 2 of one and 3 of the other. When you get the whole stack together, you're going to be able to take this to the sewing machine and they're already matching for you. You're going to be able to sew right down the edge at 1/4 inch because the pieces are already together. And when you open them up, those seams are going to match perfect because they were nestled together on the back. At this point, I'm just going to finger press it. And I'm going to finger press that seam going towards that single red block. From there, you're going to sew on another strip set. And the strip set is going to be the one with the red in the corner. So you're going to have 1 red in the center and 2 red corners. So you'll be able to match up those seams and stitch that 1/4 inch. And with that last seam done, you're going to be able to press that seam also towards the center. Now this should equal 3.5 inches. And that 3.5 inches is going to match the 3.5 inch solids. And you will need 36 of these cute little 9 patches. And to put these all together, you're going to need 12 red squares, 12 white squares, 12 of your little 9 patch. The second row is going to have a white on each side of the 9 patch. The last row, the red is going to go in the opposite corner, the white and the 9 patch. So you have the whites in the center, 2 reds on the outside, with the 9 patch going through the center. Now you're going to be able to sew them together in rows. When the rows are sewn together, the seams are going to be pressed to the center. The seams are going to be pressed out, and the seams are going to be pressed in. And that way they will nestle together. We now have 12 9.5 inch blocks with those cute little tiny 9 patches in the corner. I'll put a link in the description to a PDF so that you can print it out and follow along. If you're following along, feel free to post the pictures on my Facebook. I would love to see what you were doing. And as always, thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.